Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very special video because Mai and I will be filming a recap on the 2019 Junior World Figure Skating Championships. And out of my 5 years of doing this on YouTube, this is the first time I'm covering the Junior Worlds.
Wow, it's about time.
I know, I know. I just have a really busy life that I can't focus so much on the juniors and the seniors, and not all skaters who are successful on the junior level, that success doesn't always translate into seniors. So I don't want to get my hopes up and fall in love with someone who may not make it.
Oh, but I know that's a valid argument. However, there's so many cool programs that happen at juniors. And even if that person doesn't necessarily make it to seniors or doesn't fully, I guess their success isn't fully articulated, I guess, in seniors, like their success in juniors is still very much, it's still an achievement to achieve stuff in the junior level. And there's some cool programs. Like I think in some sense, and I think we'll talk about this with some of the disciplines later, is I feel like in juniors, they're not under the same, I guess, restrictions, I guess, as seniors in some ways. And so you get to see a little more diversity and creativity, and I think especially with ice dance. So we'll talk about ice dance later on. But I feel like in juniors, there's a lot of really cool things that happen. And some of them do make it out of juniors into seniors. And it's really cool to follow those skaters when they're young. I followed, for example, Jason Brown when he was a junior, and like now he's like the veteran seniors now, right? Isn't that crazy? So some of them do go on to have very successful senior careers. Zuru Hanyu, he had a lot of success as a junior as well. And so yeah, it's, for those who do make that leap and do make that transition, it is really fun to see what they were like and how they develop over time. So that is my case for following juniors. It is very time consuming. There are, these programs are long, and if you are busy, it is a big ask. But I think, again, I think you'll find something to enjoy. And even if, they're not like they are achieve senior success, like some of this, their success in juniors is just as exciting and just as fun to see. And also like a lot of these juniors, like they may not be successful as like a senior elite skater, but they end up doing other things, and it's cool following their journeys outside of skating too. So there's some juniors that I've gotten to see end up in other arenas, and that's kind of cool as well. So
you're right. Everyone defines success differently. It's based on the individual. Also, medal is a medal. And what I notice is that juniors tend to have more fun. So I did not watch a lot of the competition live. I'm a busy folks people. The good thing is that a lot of these programs are available on YouTube. And as you and other skating fans are probably aware, there's some accessibility issues with our sport right now, with videos being taken down by the ISU or who knows what. But it seems like for Junior Worlds, we're good for now.
Yes, for the most part. So this time around, at least in the U.S., I don't know. There's some countries that had rights to Junior Worlds, but for countries that did not have broadcasting rights, in the U.S. was one of them. Surprisingly, NBC did not include Junior Worlds as part of their streaming or broadcasting package. So you can actually go to the ISU. It's called the Eurovision channel, and they have all the groups. They even have the gala up there.
I saw
the gala, yeah. So they have all of it up there. There is a couple of programs on YouTube, but yeah, for those in the U.S. But I guess you want to be careful because obviously you get viewers from around the world. But yeah, most of the countries should be able to access it on the ISU Eurovision site. And then, yeah, there are a couple videos on like YouTube and whatnot. So.
Yeah, so there you go. I tried to watch most of the podium placements in all disciplines, and Mai has seen a lot more. So if you watch a lot of the competition live and you want to reminisce on the actual skating, you can relate to Mai. If you're not totally caught up with everything, but you want to learn, you'll relate more to me. I have the protocols printed out here as well as the results. And Mai, it looks like we are going to start off with the pairs.
Let's
All right, so Russian podium.
Podium. It wasn't too much different. So let's just run down the podium really quick. So first place we got Anastasia Machina and Alexandra Golim Amov, and then second place we got Alpona. man, she has a tough name to pronounce. I wrote it out. It's
Apollinaria?
Alpina
Maria?
Pantiova and Dmitry Rylov, and then Polina Kostukovich and Dmitry Ileman. Oh,
Eolin?
Eolin. Okay, I actually learned to like pronounce these last night, and I feel really bad now for butchering these. So please forgive me.
No, it's okay. So it was a close call between first and second place. I mean, winning by just less than a point. Woo! And it
Yeah.
came down to the free skate for Anastasia and Alexander, and I'm actually really glad that they won.
Okay. Why do you think that?
Let me see. Let me go through my notes, see if I can remember. So, if you can't remember which Russian team I'm talking about, I like to think of it as the girl in both programs. So
Right.
I like the contrast that they have between the short and the free. It's
Yeah.
very different. They go from skating to a lighter piece of, English sounding music to
They
something
say
very
to skate.
theatrical.
They say to party like a
Yeah,
Russian, which
right?
I feel is very on brand actually.
And the very theatrical free skate, love it. I like their amazing throw jumps, like on point. And actually, I would say all of the Russian pairs have really
Right.
strong, like technical elements. The throws, girls, they're so great at like controlling their landing to the point where they hold the
Right.
position, and some of them even go into a transition afterwards, like I think a spread eagle or lifting their legs up. And I think Anastasia is very dramatic with holding out her hand. So
Yeah.
I like seeing them skate. And
And
what?
little fun fact, this
Yeah,
is I like about them is I definitely like they have a lot of power. I think they just they skate really big, and I love that about them. And they're very, I think they hack. I love that about them is that they're fearless. They're not afraid. I think when you see with a lot of pairs, sometimes like they get so hyped up about especially like jumps. The side by side jumps is always like a very scary thing for a lot of pairs, especially U.S. pairs. But with Anastasia and Alexander, they definitely like go into everything like power, 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 and I just love that about them. They just go for everything.
yeah. Speaking of attack and power, their one major mistake in the free program was a fall on the triple salchow sequence, triple salchow, which is very difficult. I'm glad they at least went for it, so they got credit for at
Yeah.
least the first one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a hard. Not a lot of and also just think about it because it's a triple salchow Euler triple salchow. So I mean, that is a very hard combo to like do united like side by side. So I really do commend them for going for that combo for sure.
Yeah, so I think the technical difficulty definitely helped them win this competition because their teammates
Right.
Apollinaria and Dimitri, I actually think they're kind of the better skaters in my personal opinion. There's a lot more
I agree.
refinement, a little more elegance, a great ice coverage, less technical content. It looked like they planned on a side-by-side double loop, which is
Mm-hmm.
far fewer points than what their other teammates were doing.
Right. I know that a lot of people made the argument that they should have won on the overall package because they do have a better overall skating style. I think their skating skills are a lot stronger. I think they're more of the classical Russian
They
pair. They
are.
have full lines. Their twist, I love their twist.
Oh,
It's just
so
like
good.
I mean, she's on the ceiling practically, right?
Oh,
Like it's just she just goes up so high, but it's not like I feel like some, especially juniors, you see the twist are really rushed because some of these
mhm.
juniors are just learning to do the triple twist. They started with the double and they're transitioning over to the triple, and so a lot of juniors, so they stand out in the junior field because a lot of the juniors are still like mastering the triple twist. And so to see, I mean, that twist could hold up in seniors. Like they
Absolutely.
can compete against any senior pair with their twist for sure.
Yeah, and I think in the long program, there are two elements. I remember looking at the protocols. There are two elements that received the highest grade of execution marks were the twist and then the reverse lasso lift. So their power and their strength and their basic skating skills translates into all the lifts. And I think they're also the pair team that does amazing dismounts out of the lifts. So great
Right.
transition, which is super difficult. They're gonna shake things up once they turn senior.
Yeah, I think there's a case for them winning. I know, like on Twitter, there was a lot of people that felt really strongly about them. It's interesting because I think this is the fun part. And again, this goes back to why I love juniors, is because there is that diversity. I mean, you have the power pair, right? And Anastasia and Alexandra, but then you also have the elegant lines from Apollonia and, Dmitry, the beautiful lines, the beautiful classic Russian skating. And you get to see that in juniors in the side by side. And you get to see, those differences. And then you have the third place team, Polina and Dmitry, skating that Tomb Raider program, right?
That's right. I have in my notes, they are the Russian pair who skates to interesting music choices for both programs in my notes.
I mean, just putting those three side by side in a short program, it's really fun to watch. And they were really close. I mean, they were within a point of each other, so it's not surprising that it came down to the free skate, because in the short program, the difference between first and third was like a point. So, that was. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this rivalry. I mean, obviously there's still Russian pairs, in seniors they have to compete with too. So it's gonna be. I think all three of them. I expect all three of them to move up. I'm trying to think if any of them will stay in juniors. I think they're all old enough to move up to seniors. I think they're all, which they have to be 15 by July 1st. So
that's right.
So yeah, we'll see who moves up. I think the top two will definitely move up. I don't know about Polina and Dmitry in third. I don't know if they're moving up.
Yeah, so. Polina and Dmitry, they at least look really young. I didn't look up how old they were, but they were small.
So it's hard to say who meet. And the crazy thing is that there are two more Russian pairs that made the junior Grand Prix final that we didn't get to see, because obviously you only can send three of them. So Russia is, definitely rich in pairs talent. I think, we're seeing a little bit of transition in seniors. We've seen a couple breakups. We saw some retirements. And so I think Russia is definitely in good hands. The seniors that are up there now are amazing. And then you have these senior pairs that are really, really good. So I think Russia is doing great in pairs. I think we'll continue to see them do well. As they
The cool thing to think about with the Russian junior pairs is that they have a lot of teammates to look up to in the senior ranks. So they don't turn senior and have all this immense amount of pressure on them. And I think that's good, because they need to keep their uniqueness. We talked about the second place finishers. I hope Skating Stan Twitter is okay that at least they won in PCS. So that's something.
Yeah.
And then with Polina and Dmitry, I'd say what stood out to me the most from them, definitely their short program. Interesting. Destiny's Child electronica remake. I think they had one of the best side-by-side spins in terms of unison, so they have that going for them. A very dramatic ending to finish the spins after all the difficult elements and then strike a pose. All three of these I have high hopes for in the future.
So let's talk about fourth place just real quick. I didn't mention, so fourth place was the Chinese pair. It's Fei Yan Tang and Yang Chao Yang. And they're coached by Zhao, famous pair skater. And so, and China's a little depleted in pairs right now. So I'm happy to see a junior pair team. They have kind of the qualities of a Chinese pair, strong technical elements, strong throws, strong, side-by-side jumps. Obviously, like a lot of the Chinese pairs that start out, they can still use a little more polish, their side-by-side spins are not great. Weak work in progress. But I am glad to see that, because, the Chinese pairs, after, we've had years and years of these great Chinese pairs, and now, we have some great Chinese pairs now, don't get me wrong, but there's like two or three of them, right? Yeah. So I'd like to see some more developing talent. So it's kind of odd to me that there's only one Chinese pair, to be honest.
I thought that was interesting too.
I hope we'll see more. But I think Kang and Yang have a lot of potential. I really like their elements. They have big throws. I think they are very promising, and I look forward to see where they are in the future. So
I did see their skates. I think they did a really respectable job. As you said earlier, very Chinese-esque qualities about their elements, which is a good thing when we talk about Chinese pair skaters. I think, let's see, the female could use a little more facial expression because at some parts of the
Yeah.
programs, it's Yang Chao Yang is very expressive in the face, especially towards the end of both of his programs. The short program is different. It's a little more playful and fun. I had to
Yeah.
giggle and smile towards the end when the choreography has them like I kept it shimmying and then doing some
Yeah.
head bopping. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not mocking them. That's actually that made me laugh in the best way possible. And it's like that's the
Uh,
joy in skating.
yeah, I think she kind of remind me. The program kind of reminded me of something like Peng and Jin would pull off. Like it made me wish that Peng and Jin did that program because
Yeah.
it had the same like fun. You know how Peng and Jin are like in seniors, they have that fun vibe, and so they're by the same. They're all coached by the same people. So hopefully this pair seeing like Peng and Jin and Sui and Han, and and looking at how learning how to be expressive because those two teams, and then you and Zhang too,
Hmm.
all three of those Chinese senior pair teams are very expressive. They've really developed their artistry over time. So I'm very optimistic that this pair will also become more expressive and become more polished because they're in a good training camp. They have people to look up to.
And they have the Olympics to look forward to in
Yeah,
China
and
in a few years.
yeah, for sure.
Any other pairs you wanted to discuss?
So let's talk about the Americans real quick. I
Okay.
thought the U.S. pairs did a pretty respectful job. Particularly the top two ended up in fifth and sixth here. So Sarah Fang and TJ Nyman ended up in fifth, and then Blake and Walkley and Keenan Prokhnov ended up in sixth. And so that was enough for 3 spots for Junior Worlds next year,
Perfect.
and also full Junior Grand Prix spots. So that's a very distinct thing about the Junior Worlds competition, which we'll talk a little bit more with as we go through the disciplines, is that Junior Worlds is not only the determinant for how many spots you'll get for next year, like Senior Warriors,
Hmm.
it's also determinant in terms of how many spots you get for the Junior Grand Prix next fall.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So in pairs, I believe it's the top 4 countries. And please correct me if I'm wrong. The pairs rules are a little bit different than the single skater rules, but I believe because they have fewer of the Junior Grand Prix or have the pairs discipline.
Yeah.
But I believe it's the top 4 teams get up to 3 pairs. They can enter 3 pairs in all 4 of the pairs events. So that's important for pairs development, is to get the maximum number of Junior Grand Prix spots.
Yeah,
So
let me
they
tell
did
you,
have-
Americans need pair development.
Yes, but I thought both pairs did respectful here.
Good.
I think they're very promising. I think there's kind of a yin and yang, kind of with like the top 2 Russian teams we saw here. I think Fang and Nyman, they have a big twist. I mean, their twist, if you haven't seen their program, that is the thing to watch with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, a big twist, which is not surprising. They're coached by Delilah Sappingfield in Colorado Springs, and all her teams are known for big twists. So, not surprising to me that Fang and Nyman also have a big twist. And then, Lockley and Prokhnov, I think they have more. They're coached by Rockne Brubaker. Do you remember him?
I know him, yeah.
Yeah, so former world junior champion, former U.S. champion. So he's now coaching in the Chicago area, and so Lakin and Keenan are his pair, and you see a lot of his influence. So Rockne was very much known for with his he had a couple different partners, but very beautiful lines, very great basic pair skating, and I like that about them. I think they have a lot of solid basics. I think both teams struggled early in the season. So Sarah and TJ actually made the Junior Grand Prix final, but they ended up having to withdraw after the short program because of her injury. She's been recovering from injury. I think they actually did not compete in nationals because she was still recovering injury. So it was nice for them to come back to juniors. They still got the Junior Worlds on the strength of their fall season. And so it was nice to see them come back. And then Lakeland and Keenan, then the Junior Grand Prix was like so-and-so. They would have a good short program and then kind of struggle in the free skate. And so it was nice for them to pull 2 very solid programs. And, I think they kind of they started out, or they ended the season on a better note than they started. So.
Okay, I'm just looking at the protocols here because I'm interested. We talk about American pairs. I need to know how their side-by-sides went. It doesn't look like they went perfectly. Not for Sarah and TJ.
Yeah, but not a complete meltdown. I think, you know, I think, yes, obviously that's always the X factor with US pairs, but I think we'll see what happens. But I think they show a lot of promise, and they have some really, as I said, Sarah and TJ definitely have that big twist that's worth like looking at. And I feel like Lakeland and Keenan have some very promising pair basics. So we'll see where they go. I believe they both age out. I know Lakeland and Keenan age out. I think so. I think they will be in seniors next year. I think Sarah and TJ also age out this season as well. So I think they'll both be moving up next season.
All right. So after this video is done, I will have to watch both of their programs because we got to keep an eye out for American pairs.
Yes.
Next up, are you ready to talk about junior ice dance?
Yeah, so let's talk about ice dance because please don't at me on Twitter on this, but I actually love the juniors this season more than the seniors.
Oh, no, that's fine. So also don't at me, but right before we started filming, you know, I've had a really busy weekend. You know that I only had the time to watch Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Laga just because I have so many Canadian skating fan friends.
Man.
And I will say I watched both their rhythm dance and their free dance right before we started filming, and I went, this is my favorite dance team ever. They give me Caitlin Hawaii and Jean-Luc Baker vibes. They're just so cute, but also really skilled. I don't like a lot of rhythm dances because I'm not a tango person, but I was actually drawn to theirs. I actually like their free dance as well, and that rotational lift to end the program gives me chills. So
the rotational lift is definitely the highlight for me. I have seen them. I saw them live at the junior Grand Prix final. So they definitely have a lot of. I think they skate. They skate with. I think they are very characteristic. So they train in Montreal with the other 17,000 teams.
Of course.
But I think one thing that they really struggle with is they're such a team. They're a team they're kind of wild. If you look at their it's very obvious that they attack. They go for everything. Do. But the bad part about that is that when you don't have, sometimes they lose a little control, and so this is their first world junior medal. They've been on the junior world scene for a couple seasons now, and this is their first medal. I mean, it's cool that they got gold, but they've been in podium position before, the last few years, and then something happened in the free skate and they dropped off the podium. And so, and then junior Grand Prix final, they were not on the podium either. They missed the podium by 3/300th of a point. It was kind of insane, actually. Yeah. So this is literally their first major medal. Junior Grand Prix final, senior world. And they've been on, I think this is their 4th or 5th senior season.
Okay, well, I'm not totally surprised because they do look like they're really well gelled together, so they probably have the experience to go off of. And you do make a good point. I think they attack so much. I can tell them by just watching their skates here at Worlds. Sometimes when that happens, you could come up with a Madison Hubble and Zachary Donahue situation.
That's exactly what
at 4 continents, It's like, attack, but you can't travel on your stationary lift, otherwise you will not get your levels at all. So.
Exactly. And I think there's some schools of thought on this, is that, how much, the wildness, I think, is almost desired because
I like it.
There's a lot of attacks. But, I think the criticism of that is a lack of control. And there's some teams who tend to be very controlled and they don't necessarily get reward for being a control. And I think that is just as important in PCS too. And so I know that some people don't like the direction of ice dance judging because it feels like there's a reward for skating wild and big as opposed to skating precise, especially with these tango patterns. I think one of the big criticisms right now is that you have people getting level 1 and level 2 tango patterns, but they get, GOE +4 or 5. It doesn't compute, And so I think that's kind of an interesting discussion, whether, is the ISG going in a direction where they're saying, we want you to attack everything, we want you to skate big, and that's what is important to us, as opposed to, we want you to be precise and good, have good edge control, that sort of thing. And so I think it's an interesting debate in ice dance. I think it's worth having, but
Yeah, and
I
to be
think
fair, I don't think that debate will ever be solved or ended. Yeah,
no, of course
with the
not.
future of our sport. So I did not watch anybody else. So why don't you tell us what we should look forward to if we wanted to catch up on Junior World's
Yeah,
ice dance?
yeah. So let's talk about second and third place for two Russian teams.
Russia.
So we have yes, and so we had Elizaveta Kudabeva and Nikita Nazarov in second place, and then in third place for bronze we had Sofia Savchenko and Igor Eremenko. And there's a little Russian shake up here.
Really close to each other.
Yeah, so not just so Sophia and Igor actually won the Junior Grand Prix final. So it's kind of surprising to see them in third. So and then Elizaveta and Nikita came, I believe, in fifth in the Junior Grand Prix final, if I recall correctly. And then the team that was in fifth place from Russia, Arina Ashakova and Maxim Nekrazov, they were actually winning. They won both their Junior Grand Prix, and they looked like the team that was going to lead, the Russian junior ice dance teams in the fall. And then they ended up in fifth off the podium. And so there was definitely there's been a big
Russian movement.
There's some movement here, yeah. And so that was something that caught my attention because definitely Arena and Maxim look like the team to win everything because they won both their Junior Grand Prix. They had the highest scores out of all the three Russian teams. And then Sophia and Igor showed up at Junior Grand Prix final, won everything there. They also won Russian Junior Nationals, beating Arena and Maxim. And Elizabeth and Nikita were actually third at Junior Russian Nationals and ended up being the highest finishing team here at Junior World.
Okay. So I can't keep up. I can't.
Yeah, but it's so good to see these three teams. They have, again, why I love junior ice dance so much is that there's so much diversity, and these three Russian teams, again, are a great example of this. Elizaveta and Nikita have a very classic dance style.
Okay.
I feel like their skating skills are very underrated. Again, the precision execution issue. They're very precise. They're very nice edges, very good skating skills. I think Nikita, he presents Elizaveta so well. He's probably one of the better junior ice dance men partners. He really stands out. Their programs. They skated to Human After All and Nemesis, which I think a lot of people will know for the Nate 10 shirt program. And it's very modern and very cool, very cool program. I really love that program. I think Junior Worlds, I felt they got the right tone, this right coolness kind of soul. They didn't really have that in the Junior Grand Prix. It felt like that part was missing. So it was really good to see that program finally skated to its potential here. So definitely, I think the second place is deserved. I think they did great. They did great in the rhythm dance, and then they did really good in the although they came in fourth in the free dance, but they had the lead. They had the lead from the rhythm dance to help them stay in second. So.
Okay, I'll check out their programs. And what about Sophia and Igor?
Yeah, Sophia and Igor. Their programs are really interesting. Their free dance is this kind of very avant-garde program. Their training mates are Stepanova and Buchan, so they're in the same camp. So if you like those guys, you'll probably like Sophia and Igor. Yeah. They have some really cool transitions. They do this kind of they kind of do a cool transition into their twizzles. They do and they have this very quirky music. The free dance is very it's very, I don't remember what the name of the song is, but it's definitely very avant-garde. It's not the most accessible, song.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you should watch it. I think they do it justice. I think they, do a good job with the dance and it's worth watching. So I'm going to look up that song because it's bugging me.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. And then we have the Americans in fourth place.
Yes, we
Respectful
have the Americans.
finish.
Let me go back and talk about Arena and Maxim real quick, because I think why I think they ended up in fifth. So they had some issues. So the text caller here, by the way, was very strict. which I think they've been strict all season.
Yeah.
But they were especially strict at Junior Worlds. If you look at all the patterns from the rhythm dance, there was a lot of level 2s, level 3s. I don't think anyone got a level 4 in the. Or I think a couple. There were only a few level 4s, but mostly 2s and 3s. And Arena and Maxim actually got a basic level on their second pattern.
That's not good.
Yeah, so their score dropped by a lot. And I was talking about Sophia and Igor with their avant-garde program. Arena and Maxim also have kind of an avant-garde program. It's to this, and I really regret not remembering, but I think it's called Stray Cats.
Okay.
I'm going to look it up really quick because, let's see. That's really quick. Okay. Radio Silence. Okay. So the program is to a soundtrack called Black Cat, White Cat. And so if you haven't seen the movie, it's she kind of plays the cat, and it's very fun. It's a very novel program, and I think, in the beginning of the season, like, it was really funny and really creative and, like, really fun, but then, like, the novelty kind of weared off after a while. So by Junior World, I've seen this program. Like, I saw it at Junior Grand Prix Final live. Like, it was funny and I enjoyed it, but by, like, the third time, kind of like, the novelty wore off, and I felt like, some of the technical skills that they had weren't there either. Like, they're a really good team. They're very fast, and they have some very good technical elements. But I think, they really struggled with, especially with the pattern. Like, you could see her kind of skip some of the basics or the key steps, that you have to, because when in ice dance, rhythm dance, you get yes or no or timing. And, to get a basic, it means you missed every key point.
Oh.
And, like, you could, and ice dance is hard. Like, I don't fully even understand it, but I could see in real time her missing some of the stuff. Like, you could see her kind of leap. Sometimes you see her leaping or something like that. And so it was very obvious that they had issues with the pattern. And so yeah, it was a shame because they started out so strong. They looked like they were going to be a solid #1 Russian junior ice dance team. And then they kind of really struggled here. So it was very unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate. Anybody else you want to talk about?
So yeah, let's go back to the Americans.
Okay,
so let's talk about Alan Wynn and Vadim Kolesnik. I think they have a lot of promise. They're a very young team. This is actually the first time we haven't medaled in a couple of years, and I think, if you look at that, you're like, oh my gosh, US ice dance. Because for a moment we were, after the rhythm dance, we were 5th and 8th, which meant we were barely holding on to 3 spots.
Okay.
Because you have to get placements less 13 or less, and 5th and 8th is 13. So it looked like for a moment there we were kind of on the bubble, and then it worked out because Caroline and Gordon Green, the sibling team, they ended up moving up a spot, and then Avonlea and Vadim also moved up a spot. So we ended up getting 3 spots. Avonlea and Vadim was the second highest country, because obviously third highest country. So Canada, Russia, US. So we also have our full junior Grand Prix spots for next season. So in the US. So that's good news. But Avonlea and Vadim have a lot of promise. I think, their emotional maturity she's only 16 years old. I mean, it impresses me how much maturity they have and how much she's kind of like a little Madison Chalk. I don't know if you've seen them before. Have you seen them at all? Have you seen them?
I don't know what they look like.
Yeah, so Avonlea really gives me the Madison Chalk vibe. She performs to rafters. She has the face. She's a performer, and Vadim presents her so beautifully. He is, again, a very good male ice dance partner. And so I think they have a lot more. I think they're a young team. So, I'd like to see them with a little more power and more speed overall. But I think they're on the right track. They were actually second at U.S. Nationals behind Caroline and Gordon Green. But I think they reminded us why they are such a good team. So it was, I think you should check out their Free Dance to Imagine Dragons Demons.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a really good program. It's very emotional. Ted Barton, I think it's one of his favorites because every time he comments on it, he just loves it. And I do too. It's a very, again, for being such a young team, I think they're 16 and 17 to skate to that song. And it's just, it's so impressive, and I really think they have a bright future. And I think, we had a lot of teams move up to seniors in the last couple of years, and so I think they're going to hold up the fort really well, along with the Greens. The Greens are a very good team. They're a very good technical team. They didn't have the junior roles they probably wanted. They can skate a lot better. They ended up in seventh. They can do better than they did at junior roles. But I think with those two teams, and with a lot of the other there are a lot of promising junior teams in the U.S. I think we're going to do well, and I'm glad we have the full senior Grand Prix spots. So they'll be very promising.
Yeah, they got to keep ice dance alive. We have a legacy in North America. Which discipline did you want to move on to next?
So let's talk about the ladies.
Woo!
That's your favorite discipline, right?
Yes, it is. So, everyone, so many text messages I received. No, I did not watch it live, but about the quadluts that were attempted. I was like, what? Really? You guys joking? Oh my gosh. So, Alexandra Trusova, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, her free skate attempting 3 quads, nonetheless, one of them being a quadlet. Yes, I know she fell on it, but to go ahead and attempt at the toe afterwards, I can't imagine how difficult that is. Yes.
That girl, and she is now a 2-time junior world champ, so that doesn't happen often. So I think the last Russian 2-time world junior champ was Elena Radionova. She won in 2013 to 2014. So. Yeah, so the Russian legacy is very much obviously alive. So, but no, she is a gutsy girl. She did very well here. I think she was second after the short program, but she came back. I think the quads made a difference. I mean, that was basically what won her, having those two quad toes, one in combination. That earned her a ton of points. So.
Yeah, and if the viewers aren't aware, because I just learned this probably this morning, that you can't do a quad in the short program.
Right.
So it sounds like all 3 of the Russian ladies at Junior Worlds this year are going to be moving up to seniors next year. I read that in an article. Right. And they're all trying to learn the triple axel over the summer because they want their technical base value to be as close to Rika Kihara as possible. Right. So that's what they're going for. I'm sorry, what is it going to do to their bodies training a triple axel and all the quads?
I know. I mean, that's obviously a point of debate that has been. I mean, obviously they're both very young. So her and Anna Shubakova, who won second, she also attempted, and she wasn't perfect, but she landed her quadlets attempt in the free skate. So both of them have been trying quads for a couple seasons now. I think it's that debate. That's another debate that's not going to end. Is like, how is it healthy to attempt quads? I think sometimes we talk over each other because sometimes you don't want to discourage girls from trying, pushing new technical heights, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, their bodies are changing. And you don't like the idea that these girls could end up with bad hips or hip surgeries and, those things later in life, or their bodies can't fully function because they were too hard on their bodies too soon. And so I feel like it's this weird balance because you still want to commend them for trying. You want to commend them for pushing the boundaries. I think it's important that, there are women, especially girls that know, hey, girls can push boundaries. It's not just the boys doing quads, that the girls can do it too. And so,
that's okay.
Hopefully someone will pick that up. That debate's gonna not end ever.
That's right.
And so, but I think it's good that they're trying it. I think they're gutsy girls. I admire them. I think I do hope that their training, Atiri and the rest of their training team in Moscow are being smart about the attempts and how often they do it. I'm hoping they have good nutrition and all that stuff. You can only hope for the best at this point. And because I think they have a lot of other qualities besides which so I hope that is not lost in as they're trying to up their technical, because Anna especially, she's very musical. She has a lot of musicality. She especially in her short program. I actually like her short program better as the 2 programs, because I feel like her short program really shows her musicality and her abilities. And I think Alexandria has a lot, or Sasha, as she goes by, has a lot of power, and she's a little like fireball, and so her programs, like, you know, her short program to Kill Bill soundtrack really show her, like, you know, her power. So yeah, I love that about them. So
That's right. Yeah, and what you talked about earlier, I also want to be considerate of what are the goals, long-term goals of these young skaters. Do you want to have a long, fruitful career? Do you want longevity, or do you want to be a champion as soon as possible? And, you know, to each their own, whatever their goals may
right,
be. But if their goal is to have a long, competitive career, I hope that's taken into account by their coaching
right,
team. And yeah, Anna, I actually prefer her skating over Alexandra, you know, more refinement. And that makes sense. She does have higher program component scores than
right.
Alexandra. So obviously she's winning based off the tech. But oh, just amazing showings by even all three Russian ladies. I know the other one finished in fourth here, but hey, Ting Sui of the United States making a rebound from four continents. Gotta love that.
Yeah, I was really happy for her. I actually got to meet her at like this USFS event after Four Continents. I went to Four Continents,
Mm-hmm.
so kind of a last minute trip, and so I ended up seeing. It was very heartbreaking to see, because I saw the ladies free skate. It was very heartbreaking to see her struggle in the free skate, and so it felt very good to see her bounce back. And she's a really sweet girl. She, when I interviewed or talked to her, I didn't interview her, I just met her, but I attended, like, ask a lot of questions. But when I talked to her, you know, I asked her, like, what were her thoughts on, you know, Russian ladies doing quads, and she said flat out, like, that, you know, she's amazed by them. You know, she's gotten to, you know, be in competitions with them and see them practice them, and she said, you know, she wants her own quad someday as well. And so she has a lot of ambition and drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it was just really good, you know, to see her do two solid programs. Like, you know, I think the last couple, you know, last season, this past season, you know, she'd do well with one and then struggle in the other. And so it is really nice to see her, like, put it all together here. And
Yeah.
because she has a lot of great qualities when it all, you know, all comes together. You know, she has really nice flowy jumps. I think one thing I like about her, which really stands out with among the Russian ladies, I think first, I think, I don't know if it's a philosophy thing, but with the Russian ladies, especially from Atiri's camp, there's this priority on, like, putting as much content in the programs as possible.
Oh, yes,
Like,
it's a little
you
too
know,
much sometimes.
yeah, and putting, like, and so with Anna, for example, she has these beautiful lines and these beautiful positions, but she never, like, holds them long enough. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I look at Anna's programs and I say, hey, can you hold that for, like, an extra, like, 2 seconds,
Right.
please? Like, you know, and with Ting, it was really, she takes her time, like, especially in her free skate to Giselle, she really, like, puts her arm. She doesn't, like, rush from movement to movement. Like, she really kind of breathes into her music a little more. And so I felt like that was a highlight for me, seeing her both her programs. I think both of them had a lot of space. Like, you know, I don't know if that's the right word, but it felt like she took her time and she didn't rush, you know, and she wasn't trying to, you know, pack, you know, 5 million transitions. And so that was really nice.
Yeah, and she really listens to the music. She skates with it
Yeah.
as opposed to along with it. I caught both of her programs, and I could just see why so many people love her. She did have a fall in that free skate. I personally don't think it mattered. You know, I don't think she was in contention for
I think
the
she was just
silver.
overly excited. I mean, I
It
think
was
she was
good.
just overly excited because she was mostly clean. And,
Mm-hmm.
like, I think she just, you could tell, like, she was, like, because she, like, I don't know if you saw after she did her triple loop, which is the second to last, like, she kind of did this weird, like, fist
Yeah.
pump,
Oh, yeah.
like wing of the arm, because she was so excited. And I think, like, the adrenaline kind of, like, caught up to her at the end. So,
And it's always nice to see a skater continue to fight for a program after a fall.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, and I do, I want to go back to
Sure.
Ksenia Sanitsina, who was a last minute replacement because Alyona Kosternaya had to withdraw due to injury.
Right.
So she was, so Kenzie was a last minute replacement, and I thought she did really well considering that she didn't get a ton of notice. I think she got like a week notice that she was going to Junior Worlds. So, and also I appreciate having her there because she's not with Atiri's camp in Moscow. She's with a different coaching camp. So it's another coaching style.
I think you could tell if you watch her skating, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think for sure. Like, I think her coach is Panalova. I think it's her coach's name, and she has a bunch of very young skaters. Actually, she had a couple skaters at Junior World besides Kenvia, because there's a couple like skaters that train in Moscow, but they skate for other countries. So I believe
Hmm.
we had skaters from France and some other countries that were also part of that camp as well.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right. Who is
So,
up
but I think she did,
next?
yeah. So she did a good job. So I thought she wasn't, she had some issues in the free skate, but I thought, her shirt program is really fun. It's a little Latin melody, and I thought
Oh,
that was
that's
like,
right.
she had a lot of fun with it, and it was nice just to see kind of a more like outgoing kind of piece, and so that was really nice.
Excellent. By the way, I want to apologize right now to all the viewers because I did watch the ladies. It was last night when I got home late after party, and I remember dozing off multiple times during the same program. So you're really saving me here. I did try though.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
remember Yuna though from Japan in fifth
yeah.
place.
Yeah, so Yuna was an interesting case because she actually returned to Junior World. She's been senior ladies for a
I
few seasons.
I saw that. Hmm.
Yeah, and so in hindsight, like I know a lot. I think I kind of questioned like, why are you forcing her back into juniors when she's been a senior lady? It feels like a demotion almost.
Yeah.
Like, you're not good enough for senior competitions, but hey, we'll like put you in Junior Worlds. But in hindsight, she was the highest placing Japanese lady, and even with that, unfortunately, they lost one of their Junior World spots for next year
Mm.
because Yukana Yukai placed ninth, and so they missed it by one placement, basically.
Mm.
Um, and I think and one of the things I wanted to talk about with the ladies is this idea of senior versus junior PCS. I
Okay.
know a lot of people felt that Yuna should have scored higher in
Yeah.
PCS, and I do agree with that because her skating skills are really good. She has a lot of great ice coverage, and
And strength.
so it was very disheartening to see her barely. I don't think she even got 60 in the free skate. And it's kind of interesting because I wonder, like, you know, what, like, are we seeing a similar, like, with these ladies doing quad attempts, are we seeing a similar attempt with the men? Because I know, like, one of the criticisms of program components in the senior men
Hmm.
is that almost get, like, a quad bump bonus. Like,
Oh,
you get a
yeah.
bonus, like, attempting quads. And so if you don't do as many quads, like, you don't get that bump. And I'm wondering if we're starting to see that in the junior ladies because, Trusova or Sasha and Anna both scored considerably higher in program components, and I wonder if some of that was because they do have the most difficult technical content.
My personal opinion is yes. Just by watching their skating. I mean, Yuna Shiraiwa? Am I saying it right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, you could tell. I'm not surprised at all that she's been competing as a senior. You could tell watching her skate. And I was so surprised by her program component marks. My personal opinion, though.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
that is a debate that's probably going to be ongoing. And, will that be more of the case now as more junior ladies attempt quads? Maybe.
Yeah, and triple axles. You might see
Ugh.
some triple axles in there too. So we'll see. I also wanted to give a shout out to Young Yu from Korea. She placed 11th after the short program. She had a very nice comeback, placing fifth in the free skate and then coming back to finish sixth. And Korea also missed
That's
on getting to
amazing.
5-1 as well.
Oh.
Their skaters placed sixth and eighth, so that equals 14. So they missed three spots by one placement. So if Young had gone one spot up, they would also have three spots. But we have three spots now, the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the good
And we
news.
have a medal because it's been a
And
while
we have a
since
medal.
we've
But I
medaled.
wanted to know Hannah Harrow, who placed seventh.
Yes. Yes. So
And
I actually saw her short program. I didn't see her long. It looks like she dropped in the standings a little bit, so maybe that's a good thing. But there's a reason why she sparked an interest in a lot of viewers since her senior nationals debut. I mean, winning a pewter medal there. Wow, she's just
yeah,
running with the high, and yeah, I like that feisty short program of hers.
yeah, and she has big jumps. That's what I like about
Huge.
Hannah. She has these huge jumps. That's one of the things that stands out with her. I think she, even though she dropped in the stands a little bit, she did she basically improved. Like she got personal best across the board, so
Okay.
short program, free skate, and overall. And basically we haven't had 3 spots in junior worlds since 2014.
Say what?
So
Oh.
yeah, so Hannah and Ting were able to place, and now we have 3 spots for 2020. So that is really exciting. We also got full junior Grand Prix spots, which we haven't had for a couple seasons. So that's also significant.
Super exciting.
Because and I think I wanted to talk about those two because I feel like there's been a lot of talk about Alyssa Liu, and she's not even old enough. I think she'll be old enough next season, but she wasn't even old enough to compete here. And I know a lot of people are like, Alyssa Liu, and like a lot of, and yes, she deserves attention. She's doing triple axels. That, she won U.S. nationals. That is understandable. But I'm really happy to see Hannah and Ting do so well because, as I said to some folks, like it really destroys that narrative that we have to put all our eggs in like the Alyssa Liu basket.
No, we do not. No.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the folks at USFS see this as an affirmation that we need to emphasis development. We need to not do hype up, although no we might, no hyping. Because I'm hoping that Ting does not suddenly get pushed too high, because let's think about the last person who medaled at Junior World, 2012, Gracie Gold.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened with Gracie, right?
And not just Gracie.
But like a lot, especially Gracie. Mm-hmm. And so that is like a sincere, I'm hoping that they let Ting develop. I think she's probably going to move up next season. Hannah, I think, will stay in the junior Grand Prix or junior ranks maybe for a little bit longer. She's pretty young. But I'm hoping that these girls will get to develop, and that we don't, I think USFS is doing some good things, actually. It did. So instead of like selecting the junior world camp or the junior world team from national results, they actually did this junior world camp this year. And they have, selected based on that camp. They've done like a high performance camp for junior skaters and kind of around the same time as Champ Camp, which is the one for the Grand Prix skaters in the U.S. And I feel like these are good things, like good opportunities, and they're, USFS is putting the girls in, or ladies, and just in general, they're putting a lot more skaters in these like junior B competitions internationally. So they're getting more competition experience. So I feel like we're seeing the fruit of some of those efforts from the last season. And I'm hoping that like they'll stick to that and not like try to like see like one lady that looks kind of good and like hype that person up, and rather just rather cultivate experience with all the ladies, all the junior ladies, and then we can have like multiple junior ladies that do well and multiple senior ladies when they move up do well. So
wasn't there also criticism about that Junior Worlds camp with being so close after nationals and before 4 continents? I mean, maybe that could have been the reason why Ting didn't do so well in her free program at 4 continents. But you're right, there was an effort made to kind of make sure they selected the best person, which we can appreciate that. I know a lot of people, someone told me the other day, they're like, Justin, you don't tweet or talk a lot about Alyssa Liu. And I was like, she's so young, I want to give her space. Like, I already think she has a lot of hype around her, and I worry if it's too much, but I'm also not that worried. If there's someone I want to focus on, it's our senior ladies that are vying for the top spots right now, which is Brady Tennell and Mariah Bell. And even Ting, I hear a lot of people like, Justin, we love her, she's the next thing. I've responded, I have text to prove it. I was like, guys, calm down. We can love her. Let's not put the pressure, let's fight for the ladies who are already trying to fight for the top spot with the added pressure already on them. My take.
Yeah, but I think that goes back to my earlier point is that I think, you can still enjoy them and not like enjoy them for where they're at. For me, so for Hannah, I love Hannah because she's come a long way this season. Like for those who don't follow juniors, I actually probably adopted Hannah when she was a novice, to be honest. So she's a little firecracker. She also is half Japanese, and so she's fluent in Japanese. So I thought that was kind of cool. There's multiple reasons I like her, but in the earlier part of the season, she actually had to drop out of one of her junior Grand Prix because she was injured. So she had an injury, and that kind of set her back a couple months. And then she did do the last junior Grand Prix, and it was so. It was very obvious she was coming back from an injury, wasn't quite there yet. So yeah, to see her do so well at nationals, you know, winning that surprise pewter, and then placing seventh in her first junior worlds, and with us, you know, finishing in the top, the final group for the free skate. I think that was a cool journey to see, and so I think you can love juniors and you can enjoy their journey, and without putting pressure or high expectations, like, you know, that they're going to be the next Michelle Kwan or the next anybody. They're just them.
Please don't say that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're just them. You know, they're just. I think you can appreciate them for who they are and where they are in their journey, and, you know, and just kind of wait and see what happens from there.
Very well spoken, Mai. I also wanted to mention kudos to Canada, Alison Schumacher, top 10. So Canada gets to send 2 ladies to the Junior World Championships next year. And Alison is up and coming. I love Canadian figure skating. Don't ask me why. But, you know, she's been competing as a senior nationally. And, you know, she has some solid jumping techniques, just has a lot more to grow in some other parts of her skating. But, you know, Canada is going to have to work towards rebuilding a new generation after these legendary skaters from all disciplines really kind of taper off the scene. And, you know, getting 2 spots to Junior Worlds is a first early step. And so I commend her for doing that. And
I think they get a couple more Junior Grand Prix spots as well. So that will be helpful.
Even better.
Yeah, so that will be helpful as well. So yeah, Alison trains in a cricket club. So she's trained around some really great people. So with Abby, you know, Zuru, the whole gang up there. So I'm encouraged with Canada too. So I'm glad to see that she kind of struggled in the free skate, but then she kind of bounced back, or struggled in the short run, and she's bounced back in the free skate. So
excellent. Are we ready to finish off our video with men's?
Oh my gosh.
But we get a dance. Tomoki Hiwatashi wins. So I could not watch the competition live. I think it was during like the daytime for us, so I could have if I wanted to. Work has just been so busy that I just started getting the text. I was like, what? No way. But I'm really happy for him. He was second in both segments of the competition. Yeah, but I gotta say, so I watched his programs. I love that his triple axel was on, the quad toe in the long, but I gotta say, I've seen him do that free skate a little better, but it was still respectable for him.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of fight there. I think,
what's the fight about?
But the quad triple in the free was like, it was probably the best I've seen him do it. Like, I've seen him do it in a couple of different competitions. I saw it live at Four Continents. He probably did the program slightly better at Four Continents, actually, I would argue. I think so, yeah. Just slightly better, yeah. But I think, you know, I think the theme of my joke with the men in the free skate was just land things, because the free skate for the men was quite a ride. The short program was amazing because we had so many clean skates. If you look at how close the scores were, it's because everyone skated so clean. I mean, maybe a few bobbles here and there, but for the most part, no meltdowns. You know, you literally had a position where like anyone from 1st to 13th could end up on the podium. And that almost that's what happened.
And I think I saw you tweet this, like the few times I logged onto Twitter, I think Friday, I think your tweet came up where you took a screenshot of like the placements of the final scores. There's quite a bit of movement in terms of placements between the short and free program besides Tomoki. So we have 6th in the short, then 1st in the long, 9th in the short, then 5th in the long, 10th in the short, 3rd in the long. Like, oh my gosh, people were bouncing.
Yeah, there was, I mean, it felt like, you know, the free skate with the men was like, you know, you needed to take extra like high pressure medicine because literally it was just like, I think it's a product of, you know, junior men, like they're doing more than ever now, you know, and it's weird because they're in this developmental stage, but they're also trying to push the envelope technically. So there were so many skaters that attempted like not just one quad, like multiple quads. Even Tomoki attempted 2 quad toes and he popped the second one. And that was like completely new. Like he hasn't done a 2 quad program all season. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to put in a second quad for a Junior World. And he unfortunately popped it. luckily it didn't cost them too much, but we had, only a handful of skaters who actually managed to, to land more than one quad. Most of them either like fell on the second quad, popped the second quad, and then the other jump that a lot of skaters struggled with is the triple axel.
Oh yeah.
That was, if you look at the protocol, there was, a lot of the men did not, a lot of men missed the triple axel. There were very few men that actually had two triple axels and actually got positive grade of execution on both triple axels.
Yeah.
There was only a handful of men if you look at the protocols.
I even saw the protocols, some triple axels were landed, but received an under rotation even.
Right.
But you gotta admit, like, figure skating for the juniors has come a long way. I think one of the last few times I followed them closely, it was common to see double axels from men. Like World Juniors. Right. But I'm talking like 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. If you look at, a couple of years ago, it wasn't unusual. Like, you could get away with not doing a double or a triple axel, and now, you have to do quads. At the same time, though, like, I kind of made a joke about this. So, like, none of the men's skaters, yes, none of the men's skaters scored, like, only one male skater scored above 150.
Yeah.
And there have been junior men that have scored 150 and above with weight, like, with pure, like, with not, like, a ton of quads, like, for perspective, like, Jason Brown, right? He won the free skate in 2013, which is, like, a long time ago. He scored 154 points doing just two triple axels, no quads, right? So you still have to land your jumps.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it comes down to. You still have to, like, I think the other thing that was kind of depressing watching the free skates with the junior men is, like, none of them had, like, a lot of them missed spin levels. Like, you were seeing, like, level 2 spins, level 3 spins, like, level 2 step sequences. Those things, yes, they're not as many point getters as, like, quads, but, like, you still get points for them.
And they add up,
And they add up. And so if you wonder why a skater maybe that doesn't have, like, 6 trillion quads can still score well, because they can, if you get your grade of, and especially in this new system where quads are penalized more, if you don't land your quads, you lose a ton of points in grade of execution.
Mm-hmm.
And the base values of quads are lower also.
Yeah.
So you just don't get as many points. And so it's kind of interesting to see all these men try to do it. And maybe in practice, I'm sure this is the case, maybe in practice they do land them, and, like, it's fine. And that's why they feel confident, to put it in competition. But yeah, competition is a whole different ball of wax. And then, so the strategy, there's always an issue of strategy. Like, do you go for a cleaner program but less technical content? Or do you try to up the base value and hope that you land everything? Some people do like the big gamble programs. Like, that's their strategy. They hope that, hey, they land everything, they land a quad taco, and get the point.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not a skater, and one of my pet peeves is when skating fans like to say, "Oh, they should have done this, that." My response is always like, "You don't know what their team has decided. You don't know what happens in practice." I like to think in my non-skater universe mind that a lot of skaters practice really well and wouldn't put in a jump in a program unless it has a high success rate in practice. But you have to remember with quads, the timing is so specific, and with competition nerves, I think one little, like, off even feeling or, like, off of a microsecond of timing can totally, like, botch a quad. So we have to remember that that's a thing too.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I think what we saw. I think we saw a lot of different strategies play out, and it worked for some, and it didn't work so well for other people. So, Tomoki Hiwatashi came out, I guess, best out of all that. Yeah. He had 2 solid programs. He wasn't perfect in the free skate, but he did enough to win. He actually, as you noted, was second. I don't know if people have seen the gifs of him, like, the reaction to him winning, because
moment of the week.
Yeah, so it was so funny because I understand. You're looking at it, it's like, okay, I'm second in the short program, and then he was second in the free skate. It's like, okay, I'm probably second, and then it was like the water bottle, and then he like literally choked on his water. It was so hilarious. It was like the moment. It was so
well, funny. Watching the score live, especially in the arena, can be interesting. I equate that back to 2016 Worlds in Boston with Ashley Wagner after her free skate. Because I remember looking at it, it was like, okay, she's second after the free skate. What is her total standing? But like, it's almost like it never like flashed to show that she was second overall. It just stayed, the number two stayed there, and I was like, what? She won the silver medal, or is she second in the free? So yeah, it could be confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but it was a nice surprise. Go see him choke on his water bottle at the end of the kiss and cry. Totally worth it.
But yeah, it was totally a sweet moment. But I think it was such a redemption for him. The first half of his season was kind of tough, like so. Like I don't think anyone would have predicted that he would have won Junior Worlds, because he at the Junior Grand Prix final he struggled so much. He had under rotation issues. He was 6 out of 6 Junior Grand Prix finalists. And then he kind of turned a corner at Nationals. He won the Peter Medal at Nationals. He did amazing at 4 continents. And so he really just kind of, he really redeemed himself. And I feel like, he's actually now a 2-time world junior medalist.
Yeah.
He actually won bronze back in 2016. And he's had he struggled the last 2 seasons. He finished 12th and 15th at the last 2 US Nationals. And so he really had to kind of, claw his way back. And so I think, this was really nice for him. And I think he ages out. So he's going to be a senior next year, full blast. Like he's going to be a complete,
That's good.
obviously he was at 4 continents, but this was a nice way to end his senior career.
Yeah. I'm glad that competing so often in a short span of 3 months didn't affect him at Junior Worlds. Nationals,
Yeah.
4 continents, and the Junior World Camp, and then Junior Worlds. That's a lot to ask of somebody. And, he performed really well. I'm glad he wasn't too exhausted. He now gets a little bit of a break, which is awesome. And I hope he accumulated enough world standing points to maybe get even like 2 Grand Prix assignments in the fall.
Yeah, I don't remember where he is in terms of the season's best, but I think he has a good shot. USFS will definitely give him. I think he's in a good standing for a host spot for Skate America or something like that for sure. And I think he probably has enough to get. I think he'll have
A
to.
second. Yeah, I hope so.
So I look forward to seeing where he ends up.
Me too. Well, that was a lot. That was a lot of talk of Tomoki, but we're both his fans, so you had to expect that. Who did win the free? Yeah. Then the winner of the free skate was Roman Savosin from Russia, 6th after the short, but winning the free. I actually watched the short program, and he was clean. No quad. He's pleasant to watch. Maybe nothing.
He's improved a lot,
great.
actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, has he?
He's been on the junior season junior. Sorry, I believe this is his fourth or 5th. I mean, I feel like some of these juniors have been on the circuit for so long, I've lost track. But he's a little more polished. He used to be very super rough back in the day, and it was very refreshing to see him in the free skate. And it was great to see him land. I mean, yes, he had a bunch of under rotations, but he landed everything. And so
quad toe, quad sow.
Yeah, his quads were not under rotated, so he was one of the few that landed a few multiple quads, and I think it was nice, to go up from 6th to 1st. I think he ages out, so he'll be a senior next year. So hopefully that maybe he'll get a Grand Prix. But yeah, it was nice to see him do so well, because I know he kind of got lost in the shuffle. There's so many good Russian junior men's skaters, and I think not many people kind of expected him to be the one to medal. I believe he is actually I think he's medaled before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which year. But it was nice to see him do so well, because I know that, he definitely was lost in the shuffle, I think, with the Russian junior men for a while. And so he wasn't the favorite, I think, to medal. He wasn't at the Grand Prix final or junior Grand Prix final.
So many things can happen in the world of junior figure skating.
Yeah. And then Italy for 3rd.
Yes, it's Daniel Grasso.
He has a lot of promise. He's kind of a bit of a daredevil with those quads. I think that's I think that's kind of what got the world's attention with him, was because he was going for the quad loops, quad butts. A lot of people are kind of looking at him as the next big thing. And Italy had kind of a big weekend. We're not going to talk too much about it. But Matteo Rizzo won
the winter
the Winter Universidad, I think. in the men, and he landed a quad toe loop, which he hadn't done too much before, until Europeans, and he medaled at Europeans, and so Italian figure skating started like men are starting to heat up a little bit. So there might be a little rivalry between Rizzo and Gressel there, and but I think definitely, I hope Daniel spends a little. I don't think he's old enough for seniors anyway. I hope he spends a little more time in juniors because I think he still has he needs some polish.
Yeah, I actually thought that Daniel was Russian by looking at him, and so I'd have to look at the sheets and be like, oh, he's actually Italian. Cool.
But yeah, I thought he had a lot of promise. I think he could work on his landings. I feel like some of his landings are a bit rough there, but I think he did. I mean, this is the second year because Matteo medaled at Junior World last year. So this is the second year in a row we have an Italian on the podium. So that is very exciting. So I think Daniel has a lot of promise. I hope he'll keep working on some of his basic skating skills. I think he has some nice jumps, but again, work on the landings.
Yeah, a nice variety of quads, might I add. So if you could clean up the landings, get that rotation down under pressure, he could be in a good place to make a senior debut sometime soon.
Yeah. And then the other person I want to note who had a jump was the fourth place finisher. He was also from Russia. It's Artur Dan Ilian. And he was ninth after the short program.
I see that.
He was fifth in the free skate, but after all the numbers added up, he ended up fourth overall. And he had some injury issues early in the season, so he wasn't 100% during the Junior Grand Prix. So it was nice to see him do two very solid programs here. He's nice just because of, again, it was so close. That's just how it worked out. But he actually had two very clean programs. He tried a quad in the free skate. He fell on it, but the rest of his free skate was very lovely. He had very nice triple axles. He has a lot of polish. I really like him. I think he's fun to watch. He's young. He's also a junior world. He was a junior world medalist. He was on the podium last year.
Okay, I'll have to check him out. I didn't watch him.
Yeah, so he's very promising. And then the other big rider from the rankings was from Canada.
Yeah.
So Steven Gogolev went from 10th in the short program to 3rd in the free skate. So he won a little small medal for the free skate. Yay. And then he ended up 5th overall. And man, that program, there were some scary moments in his free skate, like the triple axel where he kind of touched himself. It was kind of like I hope he's okay. I was just he landed some great jumps too. That program, if you want to talk about heart, blood pressure rising, watching Steven was because, he would land a huge, he popped his first quad, then he'd land a second, and then he fell on the triple axel, and then he landed a beautiful one, seconds later. And I'm he deserved 3rd because he landed a lot of jumps, but man, it was kind of scary to watch.
Yeah, I didn't watch his free skate. I heard about it though. I did watch his short program, and even though he was quite low in the rankings, he did skate clean. Just no quad there, so that probably kept him lower in the rankings.
Yeah, and so I think he's too young for seniors, so we'll see him in seniors again. I think he needs to work on some polish, maybe a little more power. But he had a pretty good season. He won the Junior Grand Prix final. I think, again, going back to the discussion we had about ladies, that Canada needs to be careful not to pressure him too much. I think everyone's kind of looking at him oh, he has all these quads, won Junior Grand Prix final. Even if you watch Canadian nationals, I felt like they pulled it. They just laid it on thick. Oh, he's the next guy. And I'm guys, he's 13. Give him some time.
He was the alternate to the Junior Grand Prix final. Calm down. Even though he won, he qualified as an alternate.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping the same thing, that they kind of let off a little bit and let him kind of develop. He's still in juniors. He still has a lot of work to do. He's kind of in the early stages of his career as a junior, and so I'm hoping that they'll kind of lay off. But I think it's really nice to see him fight in the free skate. As I said, it was kind of scary, but he did go for everything, and I admire him for that for sure.
So I have a question for you. We're going to kind of go quasi out of order, but What happened to Camden? Because I saw the short program like shortly after they skated, on
Yeah.
YouTube, and then I got busy with work, and then I saw the results, and I went, "What?" Because he was
So
first after the short program. By the way,
yeah.
beautiful
That
skating, beautiful,
that short
gorgeous.
program. Yeah, I mean, it was the same. It was the same thing as we talked about. I mean, when in the U.S. Men's Free, we talked with Camden about
Hmm.
how he did so beautifully in the short program at the Junior Grand Prix. His first there as well, and then yeah, he just. I will say in the free skate, we'll go back to the short program in a minute, but I will say in the free skate, I will give him credit. He did fight a little more.
Okay.
Like, while it wasn't the program he wanted, I felt like compared to his performances at his free skates at Junior Grand Prix final and U.S. Nationals, he did fight for everything. And I'm hoping that he will take that away, that he didn't
Yeah.
give up, on himself, and but it is frustrating. It is heartbreaking, especially if you're a Camden fan. I really, I am a fan of Camden's. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's a really nice guy. I've gotten to talk to him a couple of times, and he seems really sweet. And so it is heartbreaking to see him go from first and then 11th in the free skate, or not 11th. He was ninth in the free
Ninth.
skate,
Hmm.
and so I'm hoping that now that the season's over, he can take away some time. I think it's going back. I talked about this in the U.S. Nationals recap. I think he just never connected with that free skate. I
That could
think
be it.
I give him credit. It was a departure for him. This West Side Story. Because if you look at his short program, that is, you can tell that is more his jam.
That's
The
him in his
lyrical,
element.
that's him in his element. He's floating. It's everything kind of looks in place. And I felt like maybe with the free skate, like it's more extroverted. You're forced to perform. And if you're not used to like performing and doing the technical elements, that can be really difficult. And I mean, I commend him for wanting to extend his range, but like, I guess in hindsight, it might have been good to like maybe after junior kind of like, hey, maybe we need to go back to an older program. Like his free skate from last season, I think was fairly successful. So, maybe that would have been a good move to make. It's like, okay, like you tried with this free skate, and it's not clicking. So maybe we should go back. Because Young you did that. Who's
Yeah.
a coach, also coached by Tom Krychek, and she had a different free skate in the fall during the Junior Grand Prix, and then she went back to her Pirates of the Caribbean free skate after the Junior Grand Prix and was fairly successful. So
Which
I
a
feel
lot
like
of fans
maybe
liked.
yeah, and I feel like Camden probably should have done the same thing as maybe like shelve the program, and because he just never. I felt like he never really connected with it. I think he tried, but I think it was just a different style, and when you're trying to do a different style and you're trying to like do the technical elements, sometimes it just backfires on you. So, but unfortunately, that's kind of I think what we saw there. So
Yeah, well, we can always hope for the best next season.
yeah, it's I hope. I mean, I think he'll probably move up to seniors as well, and hopefully he'll take the lessons he learned from this last season and kind of be better. And I hope I think sometimes you have to like realize something's not working out and switch gears. So so it's unfortunate. So
Hmm. Who do we talk about next?
so the other one I wanted to talk about because he was also in the top five was the Russian that I think a lot of people expected to end up in the podium, and that was Peter Gminick, who he was fourth after the short, but then he placed 10th overall after placing 11th free skate, and he podiumed at the Junior Grand Prix finals. So I think a lot of people were expecting him to be the one. I think he's second in the Junior Grand Prix final, and he's done well so all season. Like he had he won I believe he won both his Junior Grand Prix. He placed second in the Junior Grand Prix final. He actually added a quad toe for the Russian Junior Nationals and landed it, and so he looked like he was on track to podium here, and he's I love his skating personally. I think he's classic Russian man skater. Like
I like that.
he has Yagudin. I think he kind of reminds me of Yagudin a little bit. Like he's kind of a blend of Yagudin and like Ilya Kulik. Like if you like kind of elements of those, because he has the classic lines. He's very elegant. He's young. He's also young though. So I think he has some room for development. But yeah, I think he was the one that everyone expected to end up on the podium, and he ended up 10th. He ended up actually being the lowest finisher out of the 3 Russian men. And again, I think it was just a matter of, it's the end of the season. It's been a long season. Maybe you're tired. It's hard to know what happened. I was really surprised to see him do so poorly because he's been pretty consistent this season. So it was very unfortunate to see him struggle kind of at the last competition of the season. So.
Yeah, you know what I was going to do before filming this video with you? I was going to go back to revisit the results from the junior Grand Prix final because I did not follow the juniors at the Grand Prix final. I did for the seniors. And maybe it's a good thing I didn't because I would have been really confused with like matching the names and the podium placements. So
yeah,
a lot of changes happened.
The 3 podium placers from junior Grand Prix final are nothing like the 3 podium placers for junior worlds. But I think that just shows the predictability of junior men and just men in general. I just feel like quads is just this X factor now. Like once you put quads into it, like it's really hard. Like just wait. Just wait till senior worlds with the men. Like there's easily. I mean, the thing about this men's field, which makes it exciting but also scary, is that there's not a lot of parity. Like they're all pretty similarly ranked. Like literally the top 13 people or the top 12, they all could have ended up in different rankings. Like that's the thing is that, I think the junior Grand Prix pre-final podium, so first, second, and third. So they ended up, I believe, 5th was Stephen Gogula was 5th. Peter was 2nd, he's in 10th. And then Koshiro, I can't remember his name right now, from Japan ended up in 12th. So he was the bronze medal.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was so it's kind of, I think we'll see that with the senior men too, is that they're just all kind of all over the place.
Yeah, especially with senior men. If you do a program and you land a lot of your quads, and then the next go to another competition and you pop one of them, I mean, that's a lot of points that you just lost.
That is a lot of
that
points.
Other guys can pick up.
Yeah. It's Koshiro Shimada.
There you go.
I didn't want to forget his name. So he ended up, so he finished 3rd at the junior Grand Prix title, and then he ended up in, he ended up in 9th, not 12th.
Yeah.
He was
12th after the short.
The short program, and then he did go up a couple spots to get into 9th, but yeah, so it's kind of an unpredictable field. I think again, quads, they're very taxing, and you never know what can happen.
That's right. Looking at the results, so I didn't watch him, but I am a fan of Joseph Fan of Canada. He competed at Nationals as a senior and did pretty well, that I actually had really high hopes for him here. But yeah, 12th place. I really thought he could have done better than that. I'll have to look at the protocols to see what happened, but yeah, it's just unpredictable.
Yeah. Yeah, he had some pops, and then kind of a really bad fall in his first spot. It was almost kind of dramatic kind of fall. It was he kind of belly flopped after
the worst.
Yeah, it looks really. That's the thing about quads that scare me. Is like if you fall on them, they just look so dangerous. They just look like you're hurting. Yeah, so.
Man, the risk for injury is so great on the quads. Can't believe it. Well, oh my God, we've been filming for 1 hour and 23 minutes. If you made it this far, thank you.
We had a lot to talk about.
We did. So, you had a lot to talk about. I had a lot to learn about, and I'm going to go back, rewatch some of these programs. And honestly, thank you so much. This video would not have happened without you. So if all of you watching, Maya and I have a friendship. I know that she loves men and just junior skaters in general. So that's why I asked her if she would join me for the first time recapping World Junior Championships.
Yeah. And again, I think, going back to what I said earlier, I think, I guess this is my campaign speech for following juniors. Juniors, for one thing, it's very accessible. So the junior Grand final is all on YouTube. So that's great. And again, yes, there is no guarantee that the junior success will translate into senior success, but it's still really cool to see how the juniors evolve, how the disciplines evolve. I've followed juniors probably easily 10 years, and it's amazing to see how much more, technical content, obviously for men and women, ladies and men, technical content is increased over time. So that's very interesting. Again, ice dance and pairs, I think we see a little more diversity. I think there's some willingness to try some stuff. So, to be honest, like, and with some of my favorite skaters, some of my favorite photos from them actually were when they were juniors. I think you miss out on that if you don't follow juniors. And yes, it is very time consuming. And also the other cool thing is to see other countries. And you see that obviously in seniors, but in juniors, especially the Junior Grand Prix, you're going to see some juniors from countries. And like, that's the only chance you'll see a skater from Morocco or South Africa or something like that. And, obviously they don't have the resources to score better, but it's just great to see them there and to see their presence. And to see, ice skating kind of reach a wider, because that's one of their ISG's missions, is to diversify, to broaden their athlete base. And so, it's great to see, because that's why we have people like, Javi Fernandez, things like the Junior Grand Prix and things like that. Javi was in the Junior Grand Prix and he didn't, he wasn't the highest ranking in the Junior Grand Prix or Junior World. And then, but he had that competition experience that helped him. And now obviously he just retired, 7-time European medal, gold medalist, Olympic bronze medalist, 2-time world, gold medalist. And so, the junior experience is very fun to see. And so I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I did notice that there's a lot more representation of maybe some more obscure countries, especially in the Grand Prix events. But that's also what makes the event so long and hard to follow. So if you can find ways to add more hours to my day, then I could follow it up.
It is really good. And then also Ted Barton. I mean, he's like
God
reason
bless
enough
him.
To follow juniors. I mean,
Bless Ted.
I think he is such a I guess this is my gush moment for Ted Barton, but he if you watch his commentary with the junior, he's really good about explaining what they can do better and their potential. If you want some inspirational talk, you should just listen to Ted Barton commentary.
Yeah.
So that's another reason.
I love Ted. So, okay. We will all try to do better in watching juniors. Thank you so much, Mai. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.